We are WrestleMania, as we are now officially less than 3 weeks away, and to talk about what happened on Monday Night Raw and to get your general reactions on anything else in the world of wrestling, we've got three of my guys here who always give us each and every time they're on Sportswire Radio their hard hitting analysis. Two of them are currently Hall of Famers. One of those Hall of Famers is a two-time Hall of Famer. And our third analyst is well on his way to being into the Hall of Fame very, very soon. I am talking about none other than, first of all, the host of the Be More Talkative podcast, the Baltimore Kid. I am also here with the man that also dabbled very briefly in the world of pro wrestling. He is also the co-host of the Hockey Fan Chat. He has been our senior wrestling analyst. We are talking about none other than the returning Randy Dillon, and of course, two-time Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer and BWA Hall of Famer himself. He is our coach. He calls himself the only Craven, but Craven Rage still will disagree with him on that. We are talking about none other than Chris Craven. I could see he's shaking his head at me. I hope you're feeling better, Coach. And gentlemen, how we feeling tonight after Monday Night Raw?
That was a good episode of Raw. I don't know about you fellas, but I'm excited for Mania. Like TBK, you mentioned it a couple of weeks before, let the road unwind. I think the road has unwind enough, and we are now in the sunny fast lane to WrestleMania.
Well, I guess, wouldn't it be that we're in the home stretch for the horse racing fans out there, if that's still such a thing, that we're now, with now less than 3 Raws, we've only got the one in Chicago where Punk's going to be there, and obviously in my neck of the woods in Brooklyn. So that means we're really in the home stretch now. We got 3 SmackDowns and 2 Raws to go.
Yep.
It's getting down to nitty gritty.
That's right. It's getting down to the nitty gritty. So first of all, gentlemen, good to be with you. Want to say hello to some other people out there. My buddy Steven Silvestri, the general manager of Resurrection Wrestling. They had their show yesterday. Fate or Fortune. Jimmy Controversy was certainly bloodied up. Ron Franklin, how you doing, Ron? Good to be with you guys. But let's go maybe in order of what we saw at the end of Raw, where Becky Lynch was able to win that last woman standing match, where she was able to beat Nia Jax, and we got to see Rhea Ripley come out, and we saw that face-off. So how did you feel about the main event, and did you like it, and was it what you expected? And talk about anything else you might want to add, gentlemen, when it comes to the main event.
I would say the main event was good. I think it kind of the one thing the main event did for me is eliminate that talk. If we're gonna have a triple threat, the fatal 4-way with Liv Morgan and Nia Jax, I think it eliminated all that. We're just gonna focus with Becky and Rhea now. I think it was a big strong win for Becky at this point also. So it had all what you wanted, and I think it really, now we'll see. There's only 2 Raws left. How much more can Becky and Rhea really build on this at this point?
What do you guys think on that?
I mean, Becky and Rhea, 2 Raws left.
2 Raws left. We got Chicago and New York, so that's pretty much your 2 big cities.
It definitely is a couple weeks for them to actually start getting rowdy with each other instead of just staring at each other. That's or coming out and looking at each other like, "Hey, you!" Like, what is it, Spider-Man meme where we're like pointing at each other? Like, that's all they've been doing. Like, nobody's gotten rowdy. Like, this is the biggest thing ever. I'm waiting for somebody. I literally, it's one thing that I haven't said this whole time that I've been waiting for, is I've been waiting for some people to start losing their shit and going completely nuts on each other.
So you don't count the slap heard around the world from Cody and The Rock, is that right?
I
think that Sportswire, we've had more rowdiness than Sportswire, by the way, Coach. You know that in Sportswire, we've had far more rowdiness than what we've seen, right?
Okay, so about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was watching old Manias, and I was watching old, like the old vignettes they used to do prior to the main events for like Rock and Austin or Triple H and, you know, Taker or Hogan and Brock and all, you know, all those things back in the day. Get rowdy, right? Do backstage shit, come out, be separating fucking people in the ring. I want to see some of that chaos before we get into Mania.
Okay.
It's like yes, we're getting there. We're going down the road. Everything's coming together.
But to be fair, TBK made a point a couple of shows ago, was that you were gonna have it where they were gonna slowly build into that. I mean, I'm pretty sure TBK said that a couple weeks ago. That's what you were
Slowly
gonna
build.
you were gonna
Slowly
get.
build.
Yeah.
All we've gotten is 2 slaps and some trash talking.
Coach, I'm gonna add this though. I think they want to set up Mania where they want the suspense. I know we're waiting for the brawl, we're waiting for people to go at it, but I think they're saving it for Mania. They want us on our edge where we finally get that big exhale at Mania. They want us to not be like, okay, we get a few in there, here we're at Mania. No, we want to be like, oh my goodness, it's finally Mania. We're finally gonna see these guys go at it. Or
maybe it's the Attitude Era fan in me that wants to see the chaos step by step into.
Well, we had so many, but to be fair, and I'll bring TBK in a second, we had so many more Raws and SmackDowns to go versus, let's say, in the Attitude Era, because you were having monthly pay-per-view after monthly pay-per-view. Obviously, we call them PLEs now, but the fact is that really from the Rumble to Mania, okay, we had Chamber, but even from Chamber to Mania, we had a lot more Raws and SmackDowns ahead. In the Attitude Era, we would only have really 4 Raws. If we did SmackDown, 4 SmackDowns, and that's it. You had several of them. I mean, you don't think that's a fair point?
Like I said, I'm still looking for the that I want people to go fucking nuts. Like I want to see fucking crazy shit go down before and during Mania. I want to fucking throw my popcorn and shit at the fucking TV and shit. I want fucking chaos.
You've seen that on Sportswire, though, to be fair, when Anthony Steele was here on Tuesday, though. I mean, we did give the people that. I mean, the viewership would show that, but that's a different conversation for a different time. But, TBK, what do you think on the main event? And are you with Coach or not with Coach on some of this? Because I don't know what to say at this point.
I mean, I hear him, but, like I said, I think right now we're in wrap it up mode. I think everybody in the back is going, all right, wrap it up. All the loose ends, tie them up. Let's get the Mania. Now, I mean, sure, we've been on this slow build for a while now, so ain't nothing changed but the venue. Okay. At this point, you don't want to blow your load too early to use a phrase. You want, like I said, this is not just WrestleMania 40. This is WrestleMania 40 XL. It needs to deliver on that. It needs to be big. So, I mean, yeah, we got 2 more Raws to squeeze in little bits and bobs. If they want to go nuts on the very last episode, fine, go, by all means, go for it. But right now, like I said, I mean, it's been consistent. Slow burn has been their game, and they're running with it.
Yeah, I think that's what we said anyway weeks ago. I mean, we basically said that this was going to happen. So, I mean, I don't know, Coach, what could you have expected differently? I mean, we still have a couple of SmackDowns and a couple of Raws to go.
I know it was said a couple weeks ago. I know how I'm one of the people that agreed with it. Like, yeah, they're slow burning. Like, all right, fine, fuck. We've been idling down that road at a crawl for a little while now, where you got okay, on SmackDown these people will take their turns talking, and then on Raw these people will take their turns talking. Okay, you got a couple weeks left, hit the fucking gas and get it up to at least 40 miles an hour. And go there and see, and let's get down this fucking road with a little bit of aggression. Like Cody tonight, that promo was, it was just talking, but Cody wasn't the happy. What do you want to talk about?
Well, how about the Cody and Drew spot?
The Cody and Drew spot?
I mean, I'm sorry, the Drew and Seth spot. I'm sorry, the Drew and Seth spot at the 10 o'clock hour. You had that spot between Drew and Seth, and Drew is basically talking about, like, look, I want you ready. I want you there after night 1. So basically, I can take that title from you. And then, Seth talked about the fact that Drew, had won a title basically in an empty building. They went back and forth. I mean, did that do anything for you at all between the Seth and Drew spot basically in the middle of the show? No?
It did something, because I feel Seth Rollins is in a very weird place where he's involved in one of a big WrestleMania main event with tag team with Cody, The Rock, and Roman Reigns, but he still had this feud with Drew McIntyre, and I feel Seth like how the character is working. He's more focused on this tag team match than Drew McIntyre. Now, yes, he had beaten Drew McIntyre 2 times in the past, but it feels like the pressure is more on Drew McIntyre to do something where obviously his shirts are just phenomenal. Someone please buy me one of those shirts. But I really feel like it's Drew McIntyre really carrying this program for the last number of weeks where we really haven't seen Seth get in Drew's face. It seems like Seth is like, I'll deal with you when I can.
What do you make of that, TBK?
Yeah, I think at this point, I think what Drew's trying to say is you're not giving me my just attention. You're too wrapped up. You're too worried about something that doesn't concern you when you have a former title holder, a main event guy standing right in front of your face. That's the point he's trying to make. I think it's, you know, the little cut scene that we had, the behind the backstage cut scene that we had with Seth and Cody, where pretty much, you know, Seth was like, are you sure Friday? And he was like, you going alone? And Cody's like, yeah, I'm going alone. I don't think Cody's going alone. I think
So?
I think Seth is going to show up, and I think Roman, you know what? Here's what I think, actually. I think Roman is going to come by himself, and he's going to be like, hey, I said I was a man of my word. Look at you. You know, so I think Seth is gonna, you know, try to ruin it, like not ruin, but play his part, but screw it up somehow. You know what I'm saying?
Well, your impressions then of the Seth and Drew spot? Not impressed?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not impressed. Like I said, I mean, again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but like I said, they're wrapping things up right now. They're telling us, you know, hey, this is what's going to happen, and we just have to sit through it until Mania. I mean, it's like I said, I get it at this point. And Chris, I'm right there with you, dude. We've been burning the candle at one end. It's time to start burning the candle at both ends. I understand, but right now, it literally it is what it is.
Okay, so let me go in a different way. And Randy, when we actually announced on Twitter we were going to go live, Randy had said it was a very good Raw, and I kind of thought it was a decent Raw. I don't think it was a bad Raw. I think it was right after Chamber we came on the air, and it was like, boy, Raw was boring. I think it was. I don't know if it was the one after Chamber, but maybe it was the one after that. We were like, oh, this is just wasn't a good Raw. But you know, I did think there was a lot of good segments. We saw the Uso versus Uso segment. We saw obviously Gunther and Sami Zayn. I thought that was good. I mean, I thought the main event wasn't bad. I thought what Cody had to say was good. I mean, I thought there was a lot of good things that you could point to. I mean, for you, Randy, then you said it was very good, and I'm generally supportive of you. So what were some of the things that stood out for you tonight on Raw?
I think one, how they started off the show getting high gear with Jimmy and Jay, and you got that. Chris says you got that little rumble, you got that little action there, so we saw something there.
He's gonna knock the yeet out his ass. Yeah, that's exactly what the fuck.
Exactly, we saw something there. I thought the tag team match with the DIY and the Creed brother, they had some good moments there, but it is what it was. Cody's segment, I think, really helped this Raw stood on, because when was the last time, other than a guy named Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, or John Cena ripped The Rock that bad?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, there's not many people that can do that.
You say Cena? Did you say Cena?
Yep, I did say Cena.
Yeah,
I think the most epic part of the night.
Did Punk knock him before The Rock took the title from him? Maybe Punk?
I don't think Punk
was pretty good.
He knocked him good, but he didn't take other big shots. Like, I think like Cody took a big personal shot at him, where I know Punk took shots saying, I'm here, you're not, and I'm better than you. But this was just something else, rather than the pipe bomb in 2011. I thought
I said Punk did have the pipe bomb, and he did address it, but I think from what your point is that this was a shot, a kind of right across the bow, more or less. This was a shot that is building something long term. I mean, so Cody had delivered a good. Was that what you needed to see from Cody tonight?
Absolutely. I think
we need to see some fire. Yeah,
because last year we saw this Cody come in who's calm, collective, and he was respectful throughout the whole promo. It's like we're seeing a different.
It was almost like he was happy to be there last year.
Yeah.
He was coming back from the injury. He wins the Rumble. It was all about the story, but this time it's like he's been here before now. So it's almost like I think that in this case the pressure's on. I mean, everywhere you go, everybody says, "Well, I was on a show, Randy, Wednesday with a guy Napalm from Legendary Backyard Wrestling, and he was like, well, Roman's going to win. Roman's going to retain. I'm telling you, Roman's going to retain." I mean, there are people that have this kind of doubt still. So maybe in a way, this is Cody and his character having his back against the wall.
Oh, absolutely. And then some other parts, I thought awesome, nice to see R-Truth and the Miz singing R-Truth going back to that original gimmick, and really like him going back. I know Chris is not having
R-Truth had he had the most epic, dominating victory of the night. I'm just saying
that. Yeah, good moment there. A good tag team match. Underrated tag team match between Alpha Academy and the New Day. I just think Raw did hit a lot of points.
Getting a win. I mean, that was somewhat big.
And then I think the big thing with the whole Gunther, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable kind of lingering in the background, it gets you interested to see, okay, what's going to happen there? Like, is Chad Gable going to be added? Is he going to force his way in the match like Shawn Michaels did in 20 years ago between Triple H and someone from
Randy, I think we were talking about this on Friday's show with TBK and Coach. We were saying that, well, Sammy doesn't really have any heritage with Gunther, whereas Gable's been really been the guy that's been the closest. He's been the chaser toward him. And if you look at it from that vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I
was going to point out that comment. I wanted to let the Baltimore kid finish his thought. Let him finish his sentence first.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I would say, you know what, this Raw for me, I would say it was okay. And the reason why I would say it was okay is it felt like a roller coaster. We had ups, we had downs. We had a couple coasting moments. I mean, getting to see some fire out of Cody was fantastic. I will say one of the most impressive things of the night to me was I don't know which Creed brother it was exactly. I still haven't learned who's who yet, but whoever it was that was able to do the ankle lock, pick up that man one-handed into a power slam. Out of that maneuver, I was like, holy shit. But I tell you what, they have been severely impressive. And I'm looking forward to a lot more out of those two guys. But tonight, I will tell you, I think that tag team match fell a little short of expectation. It got a little dangerous at points. It got a little sloppy at points. But again, they I don't know, it kind of hit, it kind of missed, kind of hit, kind of missed. Yeah, I wouldn't. Lately, I've been saying with these shows, because as we talked briefly last time, Tom, before Coach came on,
yes,
I said, I think it was the last Raw or last SmackDown. I literally got up in the middle of it and went and took a shower.
I think you said that on Friday's show. Yeah, you said that on Friday's show.
So I think with these shows now, like I'm waiting. Because around this time, I'm getting up 32 this year. So I'm not like around this time, I'm getting ready for nights. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Okay. I'm actually different. I'm always up. I'm like that guy that we used to be able to say with the 3 initials. I'm kind of like in that mode, but
right. But I think I'm waiting for those moments that, snap me up, that pop me out of my chair. And tonight, like I said, the fire out of Cody. There was some things that he said where I was like, "Oh!"
I thought the opening segment was good. Yeah. I thought the opening segment was good.
Yes,
I didn't think Seth and Drew was terrible. I thought there was a good back and forth change. I mean,
I think the Seth and the Drew thing was the same promo from last week and the same promo that happened a few weeks before that, and it's the same promo. I mean, come on now, you know me. I know about the promos here, like.
You are. You've bashed guys that came onto Sportswire famously who weren't talking, and you were like, "Come on, guys, talk, and then like they basically froze up. I mean, so I get it.
It's McIntyre coming out and saying the same thing, and Seth Rollins coming out dancing and doing the same
to
thing.
be fair, but they don't have to
same promo.
Can't you say conversely that they don't have to deviate because it works?
Yeah, but I get what he said. You're basically just saying the same thing a bunch of different ways. Yeah, and trying to stretch it out as much as you can at this point.
Character that he took out Punk, and now he's got his moment, and he wants it now, and now he wants to be immortal. I mean, so kind of that's Drew's hook, and Seth is. I think Coach brought it up, and we've obviously seen it on TV. He's been more focused with this alliance with Cody, and basically he's been upset about the fact that The Rock has come in here, and they want to make an example of The Rock, especially maybe more so than Roman.
Yeah.
Going on TBK point, like there's moments in Raw that you're hooked, but then there's other moments you're just like, okay, I can.
But isn't that also because of the fact it's a 3-hour show?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's fair. Coach, you spoke about the Attitude Era, right? Well, Raw was 2 hours back in the day.
Right.
You had to sit there for every second and watch every single angle. If it's 3 hours, it's almost like watching a football game. Okay, football's 3 hours, 3.5 hours. I know there's going to be a certain point I get up and go to the bathroom. I know there's going to be a certain point maybe with TBK said he takes a shower. I mean, or whatever point that might be. So in a 3-hour segment, you're going to get maybe your Maxine Dupree's. Maybe you're going to get your DYIs. Maybe you're going to get Judgment Day. I mean, in different spots. I mean, that's to be expected, no?
You're going to have your up and down moments, sure.
Yeah.
But you should, and I know they're never going to recreate the Attitude Era. I get that. I'm well aware of that. But, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, we're a few weeks out from Mania. Let's start getting rowdy.
But I don't think it was
last week when they hit the McIntyre and Rollins promo, and he was like, come on, fucking hit me. I'm like, do it, McIntyre. I'm sitting here like, come on, McIntyre, hit him. Like, fucking do something tonight. We had Sammy and Gunther in a fucking contract signing that ended with both of them walking out with their smirks on their face.
Okay, so I have a thought on that.
Put somebody to the fucking table.
Okay,
Jesus
Christ. So here's my take. Oh, go ahead, Randy. Go ahead,
Coach, I'm just going to add for Gunther and Sammy. Gunther's character's never been someone. He's never been the ambusher. Either he'll get Imperium to do it, or he'll wait. Gunther's never been that classic heel where he'll hit you from behind. Either he'll get someone else to do it, or he'll slow burn you. He'll wait till his match in the ring. So that's why I don't see Gunther doing it. But definitely, like Drew and Seth, like I'm waiting for Drew to. We've seen what Drew hit one Claymore on Seth saying, "Pay attention," and I'm waiting for more of that, or I'm waiting for Drew to push it more on Seth, saying you're like CM Punk or something, saying, "Oh, you're not as good as Punk" or whatever, to light some type of fire under Rollins to say, "Listen, you're not as you're both." Listen, everyone's talking about this guy before when he was here and Punk, and now you're in his spot, and yet no one cares you're here. So I want to see more of like a shot from Drew McIntyre on Seth to really ignite Seth.
So here's my follow-up to that, and I don't even know if this is out of bounds or not, but is that an Endeavor influence where let's have a slow where these guys go in the ring and not do anything until you actually have to go watch the premium live event and then see all of what you guys or maybe Coach wants to see? Is that an Endeavor influence, kind of like the UFC type thing or boxing type thing, or is that
maybe? I don't know. I just this constant love letter, fucking talking back and forth with hands off.
I would still say, Coach, that maybe they should watch Sportswire, because when Anthony Steele was here, we had this segment.
That's like as boring as baseball is to fucking watch. Everybody gets excited when the refs are getting a fight, right?
I'm gonna say, Coach, that in a way, you're describing a baseball game, like how Raw was in something. I'm not saying that Raw was for some people as boring as baseball, but that's kind of like the baseball reference there. Let me get to some comments because a lot of people want to say something. I want to first of all say hello to actually a member of our Hall of Fame on Sportswire Radio, who is one of the co-hosts for the Work in Progress show. He has been one of my favorite presenters that we have on Sportswire Radio, and I don't know why he's up at 3:28 in the morning. I'm talking about none other than the legendary Mr. Glenn Abbott, who, by the way, he actually has had drinks. He's actually shared a room with the legendary British Bulldog. He's actually talked about that on his podcast. Glenn is one of my all-time favorite people. He says, I think Raw is as good as it's ever been. Really enjoying the stories told, aims to the forefront for once. What do you think about that? I mean, Glenn talks about storytelling, and he said been watching Raw. He said he's been watching Raw lately. So, I mean, isn't there a point? I mean, we always talk about for our wrestlers on the platform. Randy, you dabbled in it, Coach. You obviously were in Biwa, but isn't that what Glenn is talking about? That the storylines have been kind of being told the past several weeks. Isn't that a fair point?
Oh, absolutely. Go compare it to the other AEW where you don't get stories.
And then I was listening to, by the way, real quick on AEW, I was listening to Jim Ross actually say on his podcast with Conrad Thompson, saying that AEW storytelling has been the best it's ever been, introducing new talent.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I know this is a little bit of a slow burn. I know it's like, come on, we want to get the hard stuff going, but the story's keeping us invested in
I agree
quite
with
a
that.
bit
I
of these
agree with that. I totally agree with that. Coach,
AEW is hard to get involved.
Coach, you're shaking your head. So tell me why you're shaking your head.
Well, I get. Yeah, the stories are being told. Obviously, we've been getting the stories since, let's say, Rumble. Everything started forming around right after Rumble, right? So
obviously, the Rumble, you win the winner of the Rumble, yeah.
Some you could predict previous to Rumble what was going to happen, this, that, and the other. But it's like, okay, so storylines are stories. Sure, you have your up moments, your down moments, but at some point you're going to build. You're building to that culmination at the ending. Okay, you don't stay on the same fucking page and read the same fucking chapter over and over again.
But if people
elevate, you gotta.
But if people are following with it, don't you? But again, not to sound like a broken record, but you don't have to deviate then, no?
Like I said, it's Mania season. I've said this. I've been saying this. It's
people
Mania.
Like AC/DC. They play the same 3 chords. Angus Young goes up there, and Brian Johnson sings Back in Black all the time. People seem to like it. I mean, the storylines people seem to like right now. I'm not comparing this to AC/DC, but it's the same.
Example. The build-up for War Games at Survivor Series was more aggressive than this is right now.
I agree with that. Yeah,
So I'm not saying that everything's got to be aggression and physical conflict all the time, every episode. But it's getting to that point where the talking has been repeated. The promos have been repeated. The same old idle threats. The trash talking. You take a turn. I take a turn. I'll show up on Raw. You show up on SmackDown. Blah, 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 blah. It's now time to start escalating a little to get some things hyped a little more with the physicality.
I want to let TBK
jump in. The normal wrestling story. That's like,
yes, I'm fully with you, but I saw TBK. He was kind of almost giving us a look. So what did you want to say?
A look?
Well, you guys live near each other. You guys probably know that Baltimore look better than me and Randy. We don't live near each other.
Looking more like Soldier right now than he is.
I don't even have hair.
Maybe, maybe you haven't seen Soldier in a while on Sportswire, Coach. I mean, maybe that's what it is.
But no, I mean, so like I said, we're. Again, I'll say it again. We're in the wrap it up phase, and I understand what you're saying too, but I think the problem that we're having right now is we're over poking the bear. Okay, we're that's all we're doing. We're just poking. Okay. We're poking right now. Okay, I don't think anything has been said yet that has created that spark that you're looking for. I don't think either one of these guys has gone to that level to where it could be personal or taking personal shots, stripping that fourth wall and saying things about, the other guy to where it's like, oh shit, he said that. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much like, again, Anthony Steele on Tuesday's show on Sportswire, where he basically said this, he said that, and we had to worry about would the police be called, would people be going to jail? I mean, let's not hope that doesn't happen on WWE.
So I don't think we've had that moment yet, and I get it. I would love to see it as much as you do. I mean, shit, if I were Seth, I mean, maybe one of the things that I'd be saying to Drew is, maybe the reason that I'm not focusing on you is because you're just straight up not fucking important. Just say something to make him feel, to where he wants to attack him. Make him want to lash out. Like I said, right now we're just poke. All
right, let me go with two. All right, let me go with 2 points here. First one is, do we see some of that next Monday when some guy named CM Punk returns to Chicago? And conversely, do we definitely get the go home Raw before Mania 40 when Rocky comes to my neck of the woods in Brooklyn? So what do you say?
I mean, Drew's been talking about Punk since he left. So
right. So wouldn't that conversely mean next Monday, we're definitely getting something, and then
something.
the Rock on Raw in Brooklyn? I mean, in the Big Apple.
I mean, thing too, like TBK, you want to talk about wrap up here? You want rap here? Here's some rapping paper. Go rap something.
Don't tell me.
Christmas is like 9 months from now. You have rapping.
It's from last year. Anyway, wrap this. All right, so. No, we're not in wrap up hour. We're not in anything wrap.
But there's 2 more rounds up until noon. Isn't that fair?
Stop. We're still got to feed that fire. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Like
I'm with you.
Fuck wrapping shit up. Wrapping shit up is at the end of the Raw after Mania, and then we start again. That's wrap up hour. Yeah. After the Raw after Mania, when that shit usually happens. That's usually what
I thought that would be the start of the year, though. The Raw after Mania.
Oh no,
yeah, that would be the start.
No, not really. The last 10 or 15 years, that Raw after Mania has been part of Mania. It's been basically an extension of Mania. So
sort of.
we gotta stoke that fire and get it bigger and get it hotter.
Well, are we getting that Monday then? When Punk?
Right. Well, yeah, you say Punk was coming back. So you talk about McIntyre talking about how Seth is distracted by The Rock, or the Rock. Rollins is distracted by The Rock. McIntyre's been distracted by Punk. And what you just said a minute ago, well, isn't there something that could be said? Like Rollins said it last week. He told McIntyre right to his face, I don't find you as a threat. You're like the least of my worries right now because you're not important.
Well, because Drew's never beat Seth. Also, right. Seth said it tonight that Drew's never beat him. So
as far as that personal thing that should have been said, or the personal stuff that's said that crosses lines, I mean, come on now. We just got SmackDown where The Rock said he's going to whoop Cody bloody and hand the blood to his mother.
Yeah.
Yes, I like what Cody said tonight. I thought it was great that he came out there and got serious. And my opinion, I think SmackDown does not need to be a one-on-one. I think he needs to show up on SmackDown. Roman lies, has people there. Cody lies, has people there, and it turned into a fucking brawl. Something that this bloodline thing with The Rock and Roman and Cody and Seth and the rest of the members has been brewing to.
Yeah,
we got.
I'm with you though.
In the show, I mean, go ahead, TBK.
I'm with you though, but we're not talking about Cody. We're talking about Seth and Drew, and that's what I was saying. Seth and Drew, like I said, they're just poking each other right now. There has, like, as you said, Cody and The Rock, that shit has become personal. There's been a touch of personal feeling in there to where it's like, slap the fuck out of him because he deserves it type shit. I understood what you said. I understood what you said. That's what I'm saying. Like for right now, right? The only thing that can be said right now about this whole thing with Drew, it has improved his skills on the mic. His promos as of late have been fire.
I think he's had better promo. Well, you know what? I think Seth kind of touched upon it. I think his promo skills are better now than he was the champion.
Yeah.
Well, one, it helps when you have an audience, but
that's a good point too. Because
I up to another level, but definitely there needs to be that conversation. And I'm just gonna touch back on Chris saying where there's gonna be a brawl. I think we still gotta remember the bloodline still has the numbers. They have 4.
Oh, for sure.
Cody and Seth, there's 2. So you gotta you had Jay 3. The 3 to 4, they're still missing that one person. Everyone else kind of in their own story.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that the odds are going to be even?
The odds are not going to be even until Mania, I think, because
right.
there'll be people there around, and then all the rumors of who's going to show up or not. But until Mania comes up, they know they're at a disadvantage, and I think that's the mind game that Paul Heyman was playing with Cody, where he's saying, let's make it one-on-one because you don't have the numbers to go up against the bloodline. with or without, we have the number still, regardless.
Well, let me get to a couple comments here, and also want to put it out there. Jim Ross said on his podcast with Conrad Thompson that he did not think that Dustin Rhodes would be able to be there at Mania. He said he did not think, because he has a contract, that so Dustin Rhodes you could take off the table. So if that was one name somebody was out there, Jim Ross, who's an AEW employee, pretty much answered that he does not see a scenario of Dustin Rhodes, Tony Khan allowing that, which would make sense. That wrestling chick, obviously big fan of the show, says Sid says that it's Cody's. Yeah, I think Sid posted before on Twitter that Sid wants to powerbomb, I think, Mercedes Moné and Ryback. It's either some form or another that he wanted to powerbomb. So there's always somebody new on the list. Also, I have a feeling that Seth and Drew are going to run into SummerSlam. I mean, they're going to continue up until SummerSlam. Do you guys see that?
No.
Maybe not. I would say CM Punk and Drew. Yeah. Maybe. That would be the match for that, because like I said, you can't just leave all the shots that Drew's been taking untouched. So they got to do something at some point.
Well, I don't know. That's actually to give any kind of props to Heather there. I mean, Sid.
You bet. Sid better one, because I don't know anybody named Heather on Sportswire.
Anyway, I can see that. I don't know, just my way my brain works with the wrestling, like the psychology of wrestling is
right.
You got Punk that may be back. He might be. Who knows?
We saw that little montage, right? That he's training. I don't know what it means. Right. I mean,
so you got Punk that might be waiting in the wings. We don't know how that's going to play out yet. I mean, yes, SummerSlam's August. We got some time. Sure,
yeah,
very possible.
You got a shot.
Okay, you got Seth. Possibly, more than likely, he's probably going to lose the world title at Mania to McIntyre. I still believe that, the wild card waiting in the wings is Damian Priest.
Good point.
I think that they're going to lose their tag titles at Mania. Damian's going to captivate his evening off with, or, kind of get some sort of reassurance in himself by taking that world title, by cashing in. He's like, I'm not happy with the outcome. I'm going to go get my own. And then you're going to have a replication of Seth Rollins' WrestleMania cash in, which is going to hit a personal note with Seth. So, hell, by SummerSlam, you may be having all four of these men, Punk, Priest, McIntyre, and Rollins, all at each other.
Which would make sense, right? McIntyre wins the title and then has his moment denied by Priest.
Right, which goes back to, like I said before, a feud that they were going to try to tease with McIntyre and Priest before, back around War Games. They were teasing that.
And it gets Judgment Day out of the tag team titles, which is,
I think, Rhea that said, we didn't want to make an enemy out of McIntyre. And Priest never wanted to listen to that. He didn't, mold well with him during War Games, but he played along. He didn't want to go along with it, but he did. I think Priest costing McIntyre the title seconds after he wins it, or minutes after he wins it.
It'll be clever.
That's gonna take a shot at Seth and McIntyre, because Seth did that exact same thing, and McIntyre gets his moment, only have it ripped away. And then, like you said, and you got Punk coming back. McIntyre still has this problem with Punk. Seth has a problem with Punk. There's.
Well, I thought that was it. Well, didn't you guys find it ironic that when Punk was brought up and McIntyre was talking about him, Seth kind of didn't really, almost, I think, as we know deep down, was probably happy about that, because we know with Cody and Seth, they've obviously become friends. They've had the respect. They had obviously a bitter feud when Cody came back to WWE. But you notice when Punk was brought up tonight in that segment, Seth didn't really have a supportive reaction for Punk. Didn't you guys notice that at all?
No, he didn't have it. He didn't care.
Exactly. But that makes my point, because the face, I'll be aligned with the good guys, but in this case, that wasn't the case.
He's not there. He's not.
I'll go along with Heather. I mean, Sid. I
What
think
is with you and names? Seriously.
He
You are a
likes names.
two-time Hall of Fame. You're
man.
one time. You're
Anyway,
two-time.
I do. I think I wouldn't be surprised. SummerSlam's a fatal four-way for the world title: Punk, Priest, McIntyre, and Rollins.
Go ahead, Randy.
The only thing with Priest right now, I need to see more with him. Like I don't even think he was on Raw. Unless I missed him. I don't think I saw him on Raw today. Like I need to see is the breakup of him and Judgment Day gonna go south? Is he gonna make this decision?
Well, before I get to a few comments, will it go south if Rhea loses to Becky?
I mean, they were teasing the Judgment Day split a long time ago with all the beef between him and Finn and all that stuff. Like I said, and him carrying around the damn briefcase like a prop at this point, it's getting stupid. I still don't think that he is championship material. I just don't. Maybe he is the guy to cause the chaos at Mania for that. But as far as him being a title holder, no. It's just I agree with Randy. He hasn't done much of anything here lately.
Does he have to do anything if he's got the briefcase? Does he have to?
He has till June, and it's approached July, and that's coming pretty quickly. So you have to.
How many people have we seen? How many people have we seen hold that briefcase that wasn't ready?
That was my point. There's a lot of people. I mean, didn't we recently have Austin Theory with it?
That's a different conversation. I think. I think Priest still had potential. Like Damian Priest is someone you could say when he actually won the briefing, you said, "Okay, this could work." It's just,
no question about it. And listen, I want to even say it on Saturday's show. We had a guy, Andrew Lovelace, who came out of the Monster Factory, and he was a part of the class with Damian Priest. So I thought that was fascinating that we had Andrew come on the show and talk about the fact that he was basically in the very beginning in terms of training with Damian Priest all those years ago. And Priest is the kind of guy that, he waits his moment and he picks his turn, and we'll see if that happens. I want to say hello, first of all, to the man that's going to be on the show Wednesday. He's going to be celebrating his birthday. Of course, he is a man with a lot of energy. He is the reigning, defending Resurrection Wrestling Internet Champion, Mr. D'Angelo LaFlame. I'm looking forward to having D'Angelo on the show Wednesday night. And a man that you know very well, Coach Craven, a man that TBK knows well because he's got a shirt on his behalf that is Mr. Soldier GP. He is the IMF World Champion. TBK, that shirt boy, that shirt that's looking good.
Brother right here on TV. That's your big brother messaging there, commenting.
But I thought you guys were neighbors, though. I thought you guys were practically neighbors. Don't you guys hang out with each other? Wouldn't you guys know?
I mean, as far as I know, we're still cool. If therere's something I don't know,
I don't know all his family secrets or members.
You guys live near each other. I mean, you gotta know, who's who, and
It wasn't too long ago that he found out I lived with Sid. So give the guy a break.
Lou is actually a good friend of mine. He's come a long way, and I'm proud of him.
That's actually very true. She used to know Lou back when Lou was in MCW. Spent a lot of time with him. So she's always had a soft spot for him. Like I said, I've never had anything against Lou, Damian, whatever the hell you want to call him, Priest. I just, like I said, I think
old MCW days. A good point. Yeah, that's all those guys. Yep, sure. Absolutely.
I think James for right now, again, he's I think they missed their window not splitting up Judgment Day when they had that momentum behind him. Now it's just like, okay, so do we have him cash in? Do we have him hold the briefcase for a year and do nothing with it? What do we do?
What, he got 3 more months? 3.5 months?
Yeah.
Or cause some more dysfunction between him and Judgment Day, where it's like, should I pull the trigger? Because even we saw with R-Truth, when R-Truth was thought he was in Judgment Day for it caused.
So what would you guys like? Would you like Judgment Day to keep going like the Bloodline, or do you want them to split?
I think they've run their course.
They're done.
I think that's something that could really in a really interesting way cause a lot of backstage chaos with Judgment Day is, they lose the tag belts. Rhea loses the women's title. And Damian, like I said, Damian goes after and just is fed up and cashes in and takes his own. And then you have the Raw after Mania, where maybe in a backstage segment or maybe out in the ring, you always see the Judgment Day backstage talking about their fuck ups.
Yeah, so that's
You
a
know,
good
like
point.
tonight, you saw it tonight. You know, they were like,
Yeah.
Donna, you messed up last week. Dom's gonna do it now, and then Dom messed up, right? So I think, and you've always seen that with Judgment. Every time they have a backstage segment, when somebody fails, it's always public. You know, it's always aired. All the dirty laundry.
Well, they failed more often. If you think about it, unlike the Bloodline, they've probably failed more often than not.
And yeah, I mean, and you see Damien every time you see Damien here lately, and I've been watching this. So whether he's ready or he's not ready, every time you see Damien, it's like he's calmly just sitting there, like he's something stewing, right? He's playing this thing like he's patiently waiting, but there's something stewing inside, ready to blow, like he's ready to pop or ready to lose his shit.
He's holding in a
fart, just sitting there waiting. And I think that Mania, like that kind of scenario I just said, I think that's one losing the tag belts, Rhea losing her belt. So now Judgment Day has no championships. They've lost all of Mania, and I think as a Hail Mary, he comes out, cashes in, and takes it. And then the night after Mania, Raw, whatever, he's like, well, y'all failed. I got mine, but y'all failed. I went out, because Damien has done that before where he's called his own shot.
Yeah. The
one other thing I'm thinking of, now this is a long shot, but what if after night one, Damien cashes it in after the main event, Rock and Roman beat Seth and Cody, Seth is pretty beaten up, Damien win, they have to make that threat match.
That's interesting. That's, you know what? It's a clever point. You can't say that that's not unrealistic.
I mean, I personally at this point,
the belt after the tag match,
tag match, because Seth is pretty beaten.
Yeah.
That might be an possibility.
That's actually pretty clever. I mean, you can't deny that's not bad.
I personally at this point, man, I wanna see Finn Balor as a singles competitor again. I miss old Finn, dude. Like if you guys can see the comparison here, I feel like him being in the Judgment Day has turned him into like a fucking 80s style like cartoon character villain. Like, you know what I mean? He's
if he were to go back to singles, could he get at this point? Does he have any momentum to go back to where he's never going to go back to where he was when he first debuted on the main roster and won the title, then got hurt right afterwards? But
yeah, I think he's still, I think he's still got more than enough in the tank. There's plenty of guys that he can lock up with. But like I said, I think just being in the Judgment Day has really dumbed him down a lot, and I personally, I don't like it for one. Like I said, I feel like, every time he speaks now, it's like he's parroting or he's like, oh, yeah, you better watch out because the Judgment Day is going to get you. Boogity, oogity. And it's like, come on.
I agree. It's like Finn, McDonough, and Dom are like the three fucking stooges of Raw.
Well, Dom there as Rhea's kind of sidekick. JD got threw in there. Like, I thought, like, in the summer, I would say after Mania, we saw more of the print from Finn Balor. We saw that.
Yeah.
Maybe McDonough shouldn't have been a part of the group. Maybe that watered down the group. I was listening to, I think it was Bruce Pritchard's podcast, and they were talking with Conrad about maybe the more you add to a group, it becomes a group or a gang. We talked about this on Jeff Jarrett's podcast, but Bruce Pritchard made the same point. You have too many guys, maybe it devalues the group. Maybe McDonough being a part of Judgment Day devalued them in a way.
They haven't even added him to the shirt, right? Like I've seen.
Well, that's my point.
Our Truth even got added before him.
Our Truth got a shirt. Yeah, I mean,
but you could make that point that in a way, I hate to say this, but he's like when Disco Inferno was in the NWO, it was like almost like McDonough's to that level, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think they should have stuck with the old adage that sometimes less is more.
That's the point that those guys are making. Jump in, Randy. Go ahead.
Or they should have kicked him out earlier when after Truth beat him. That's when they should have
for sure.
away, because I think he played his purpose at first, getting the tag team title, keeping the tag team title, but they lost at War Game. Then he lose the Truth. At that point, they should have kind of pushed him out and said, "All right, you're done here."
All right, fair enough. Here, let me get to some comments. I like Finn better as Demon Finn personally. I want to say hello to the man that was here Sunday because we were actually watching one of his matches back in 2004 of August, the legendary Nemesis James Taylor. And I'm actually still wearing that shirt from yesterday because James and I were actually on commentary for one of his matches. We were supposed to do an Anthony Steele match, but for whatever reason, Anthony Steele had technical difficulties and we didn't get Anthony back until the end of the show. But hopefully that doesn't happen when Anthony's inducted into the Hall of Fame Sunday. And obviously, any Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer is welcome to appear on the show Sunday. And obviously, congratulate Anthony and welcome him into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So, yes, if you'd like to welcome him, Coach, you are certainly welcome. Anybody is welcome from Sportswire Radio to congratulate Anthony and certainly give him, extensions of gratitude and seeing him finally into the Hall of Fame. But James Taylor is here. He says I'm wearing the right shirt because I actually am wearing his shirt. But we'll move off of that. I did want to ask you guys. So I got the picture. That we've got a couple of more Raws. We've got a couple more SmackDowns. We got Punk next week. The Rock's the week after. Maybe we'll see more of it, more attention in terms of what Coach is looking for, that action, something happening crazy. I still think we got some parts of it. I kind of agree with Randy more so that I thought it was a good Raw tonight. I was interested in it. I wasn't bored necessarily. We've had some Raws since Chamber. We've spoke about previously that, maybe I could have went without him. But I did want to ask you guys, because I didn't get a chance to ask Randy this. I mean, Mercedes Moné debuts in AEW and doesn't even draw a single viewer, really a single new viewer is not added by Mercedes Moné and all that money that they spent. I was wanting to ask you, Randy, because you haven't been here since that news. What was your impressions the way that was handled? And I just thought it was so interesting that Jim Ross was toting the company line, saying that new wrestlers have been added to AEW and they're doing great. They're being pushed correctly, and clearly somebody. We love JR. I mean, JR is JR, but he's the voice of wrestling. We're the voice of all wrestling on sports, right? He may be the voice of wrestling, pro wrestling, but I happen to wonder, does he watch every AEW and every new guy after they make their appearance or new gal?
Everyone, if you don't want to say anything bad about your own where you're working because it just makes you look bitter. So I can understand why they're saying, "Oh, we're getting new viewers. We have a new wrestlers."
There's momentum now. Conrad's like, we've got momentum in AEW now after the Sting thing, and we've got Mercedes, and again, 600,000 people watch Dynamite. That's it.
Listen, with Mercedes, and after I read how much she's getting paid,
10 million? Was it 10 million or less?
Huge gamble by AEW right here, because this isn't the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, where you can pay a player big bucks and they don't perform. You might be able to get away, but you're stuck with that contract. You'll still have the revenue coming in. Her job is to sell tickets, bring fans, and sell merchandise. If she cannot get this viewership up, if tickets can't more sold tickets be short, if her merchandise is not the top selling like it was when CM Punk was there, the company there will be a lot of problem there, because you are paying her a lot of money to do what you're thinking a John Cena, Brock Lesnar, a Rock going to
even
do.
A Punk when he was there. Yeah. I mean, isn't Punk still responsible for the most successful drawn premium live pay-per-view shows in their company's history? Despite all that talk, they threw him out of the locker room.
Absolutely. And I was reading something saying AEW buy rates went up the last few years. And yeah, absolutely right.
Sting was the reason that the last one went up. Yeah. I mean, Sting sold them tickets. It wasn't because of the product. I mean, I think I'm with Bischoff on that. I don't think that it was a curiosity for AEW. It was because Sting's a living legend, and this is it.
Exactly. And for Mercedes Moné, like Okada, for Will Ospreay, all these three, their job is to sell out arenas, get people interested in the product and involved and invested. If these three cannot do it, there's going to be problems with AEW.
You guys have any thoughts on that?
There's already problems with those two things. Like I've said this before, Tony Khan is a mark for all big names.
You made that point clear.
Right. He is such a big fucking mark for every big name he hears about in wrestling, whether it's an American wrestler, luchador wrestler, Japanese wrestler. It doesn't matter where, dude. It could be fucking Santa Claus could say he's putting on.
So it's like on Sportswire when we bring on. It's like on Sportswire when we bring on the big names in the backyard world, kind of, right?
Like he always marks out on these big names, right? And,
yes.
And I mentioned it last week. Like Sasha Banks was a big thing. Like, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, we were all waiting for her to show up because Naomi went back to WWE, and then she didn't show back up there. She went to the other direction." And like Sasha Banks is like, she's big. She's a big name, but she's not a CM Punk.
No, I agree with you 1,000%.
You know what I mean? Like,
on that.
And then you're right. Sting's. I mean, Jesus Christ, Sting. The amount of attention that man gets anywhere he goes, like
they drew 800. So the exact number they drew was 801,000. That's it. That's what they drew for Mercedes. When it wasn't like when they had Punk, they were drawing 1 million. When Punk was there, they were drawing 1 million, and the pay-per-views were record numbers. Now Sting, I'm sure when the buy rate's out there for the pay-per-view, he got him there. He got him to the most tickets they've sold in a while, other than when they were at Wembley. But that's because of Sting. That's because
Sting's name. I mean, you're talking what 35, 40-year fucking.
He's a hero to a lot of people. He's the last true person from the 80s and 90s that was a top star. I mean, I know Jarrett and Jericho were around, but I would say in terms of like all time that were main event draws in the 80s and the 90s, he was the only one left. He's the last of the Mohicans, really. That's why I think
I put Sting right there with Taker. 30 plus years on top the entire time he's been there.
Sting might have had a longer run, because of the Undertaker left.
So when you talk about Jim Ross, I think Jim Ross, JR is awesome, but I think JR is doing for AEW exactly what he did for fucking Vince McMahon. I said the name, reading a fucking script that he's given by the boss. So when press says, "What do you think?" He's like, "Well, let me get my script," and then he reads off of that. JR has always been a company man, no matter where he's been.
What do you guys think of the point? Made this point, and tell me, any one of you, your thoughts on it. And he was saying that you sign Okada, you sign Ospreay, and even Monet. That is going to do wonders with your hardcore, devoted AEW base, right? So we got that. We know that their base is 800,000, 850,000. If it's a good week, maybe they can push close to 9. But realistically, they're in the 800s, right? But the hardcore base loves it. But none of these moves that they've done, whether it's, again, signing, even Saraya they signed, 2 years ago? Or, again, even recently, Adam Copeland last year. All these people that they signed, none of them have moved the needle because other than the hardcore fans, nobody really cares for these people necessarily. Is that a fair point?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just there's no connection to get the casual fan invested in AEW. So sorry, Chris. You look at Adam Copeland as a perfect example. Edge.
That was one I brought up. Yep.
Everyone was excited. They want to see, but after a while, like you just see what he's done lately, like his promo on Collision, it was just like
Daniel Garcia. He's been locked up with, and he's been still feuding with Christian. And
what the heck? And then you have Bryan Danielson again, a guy people were really connected with in WWE.
We talked about them on Friday's show.
It's been an up and down thing where he can't get those other casual fans involved, and I just feel there's no connection for the wrestlers in AEW to get the fans invested. Like we see with The Rock right now in WWE, we're invested in The Rock.
They had the one guy that sort of could pull out the casuals in Punk. They had the one guy. They had him.
I look at it like this. This is my whole thing on AEW, and I've said it before.
I know.
But I'm going to add to it. So AEW is basically WCW 2.0. They started.
Well, it's funny you said that. Bischoff said the same thing last week. Of all people, right? Who would know?
Right.
He said, you know what he even said? He said that they were going over the ticket gates. He said that he doesn't even think that AEW is selling tickets that WCW for house shows did like in 92. They were on like 1992 levels in terms of basically their base for live gates.
WCW 2.0, they came out, they made a big bang over here. This is Bischoff's work from back in the day. He's like, I came in, I made a big noise over here. Everybody went, look at that, right? And now they're getting over as WCW 2.0. They're pulling in all the stars from the WWE and wherever they can get them from, big name people.
Japan.
Just like Bischoff did. He pulled Vince's guys in, Hall, Nash, Macho, Hogan, Piper, all of those, right?
Piper, yep.
And now they're getting by trying to live off of ECW's extreme reputation.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Right. So that's the add-on to it. It's like you're WCW 2.0, and you're trying to excite fans by trying to be ECW. Like, because the owner is going to pour money despite himself. He's going to pour money into whoever.
No, he's got Bill. The difference is between WCW and AEW. Khan family has billions, so for them this is a write-off. So for him, he's going to hang on.
Giving tickets away, just like Bischoff.
No, exactly. It's. I think I was reading something where they were saying Tony called Dad Shavi. His net worth went up. And people think that's because of AEW. I'm thinking that's probably because of the Jaguars or something. And then also you have
and the football team in the Fulham, right? Everett Fulham or something like that.
And then you have Dave Meltzer, who has given more 5-star matches to Eddie Kingston, and Kurt Angle can't get one of them in his prime. So that's another story.
I got to be honest on that. Is Meltzer, is he employed by AEW or what? I mean, I just have to speculate everything. You go on his Twitter. I know, Randy, you and I are both on Twitter. Every post on Twitter at Meltzer is like, there's always an excuse, something about AEW. I have to be honest. Is he being paid by AEW? I mean, I just got to ask that question.
You know what, Tom? It's actually funny. I got in an argument with the fan once on Twitter, and he was saying about AEW, like, oh, you WWE fans, all this, like, you guys don't think they're a new company. I said, listen, I enjoy AEW at times, but when the owner is on Twitter acting like he wants to play with the big boys, think he's better than everyone else, but then something doesn't go wrong, he cried like a little girl, and he blames everyone, of course you're going to get pulverized by everyone around, because you're acting like you can compete with the big guns, you're better than the big guns in WWE. And yet, when something goes wrong or everything goes against you, you cry and think it's not your fault.
You want to say something, TBK? Anything you want to say further on this whole thing with how they can't draw even though they sign all these talents?
I mean, like I said, anybody, I mean, I don't know. I know I've always been somewhat of a controversial guy, and I do have my opinions, and it is what it is. Like I said, anybody who's going over there now, they are going over there with the promise of a payday.
That's exactly what Bischoff said. He said they're going there to AEW because they're being paid very well.
I said it before. I'll say it again. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like, like Chris was saying, like they're literally sitting there going, okay, well, if you didn't like that one, just wait. Look at this. Oh, you didn't like that? Okay, all right. How about this one? No, you don't. Okay, all right. This one, it's just like, no, dude, no. The money is only good for the guys you're paying. It's not. There's
no continuity in the product. There's no flow.
It's not adding value to the product.
There's no flow because they add all these people. Like Randy brought up Copeland. Copeland was for the first time outside of WWE, and he was actually pretty hot in WWE. You brought him in, and it's like,
yeah. I mean, again, you're signing names for the sake of signing names because you think it's going to make you relevant.
Like even Bryan Danielson. You had Bryan Danielson. You got him. He was a few months removed from WrestleMania 37 main event, and then
Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, whatever the hell you want to call her, she had her time when she was relevant when she was a part of the four horsewoman of WWE,
right?
And she made her stand there. Controversial take. I'm gonna say it. Don't care. I care. Like I said, I care as much about Mercedes Moné going to AEW about that damn shirt that you're wearing right now, Tom. I like, fuck that shirt. I don't understand why, again, you're solely focused on being a fucking mark and not running what could have been actual competition. WWE has never shied away from competition. In fact, they've always said, "Where's it at?
Well, Bischoff again, and I know I'm going back to him, but he said the same thing on his last show last week. He talked about the fact that AEW's really like they can't be serious. Tony Khan can't be serious in saying that he's a real number 2. He really can't, and really to really compete with WWE, he can't. Saying, looking at his product, looking at his viewership, looking at his attendance, looking at all the numbers, right? You can't say that they're really competing with WWE.
I mean, literally, when you're sitting there and you're damn near in tears, begging a man at his retirement at the after media scrum, begging, sitting there, literally throwing in every 5 seconds. You're more than welcome to stay. The door's always open. Hey, you can always stay with us. It's like, dude, he did enough for you. Like, if you couldn't make it with Sting, a guy who, again, basically took WCW and threw it on his damn back, is what you tried to do with your company, and just call it for what it is. You failed, dude. You failed. And
he's in his mind, he doesn't think that way. But I have a few comments.
You could add one point with AEW. The big thing is MJF. It's going to be depending what he does. Like, does he want money or does he want to become a big time star? If he wants money, I think he'll stay in AEW. But if he wants to become an ultimate star, I think he ultimately knows he needs to go to WWE to solidify.
I think I'm gonna say this, and you can disagree with me.
Yeah.
I think so I mentioned that AEW is like the WCW of our day right now, of this time. Jericho in WCW, when he left and he came over to Raw back in the late, 99?
99, yeah, August 99.
Right. That was the pivot shift for everyone in WCW that was underutilized, right? Everybody in WCW was underutilized. That was the pivot. When Jericho left.
Yeah, I mean, I would have argued when Waltman came back. I would have argued.
Waltman came back, and he went to DX, and then Big Show showed up in the start of 99. Fine. But
I think
I lost you.
Now I can.
There we go.
It went off for a second.
Okay.
The fall of 99, Jericho shows up, right? And it was like, all right, now there's something going. There's a change going. Because right after him, multiple others followed. Saturn, Malenko, Guerrero, Benoit.
Yeah, the 4 of them.
And it just continued, right? People just started to go. WCW went out. I think today, and I may be a little bold for saying this, but I think MJF is the Jericho of this WCW. And if MJF leaves, it's going to pivot. It's going to show a change in the tide, and people may follow him.
I think that's an interesting point, because we haven't seen him since he's lost the title, and I think that where he would go, I think that's a fair point, that you could make the case Cody was the one that started a few years ago, but I think MJF would definitely be a watershed moment.
He would be the ultimate guy.
Yeah.
Punk went back. Cody went back, but they were there before.
I don't count Punk, because Punk, I mean, basically the locker room revolted against him. That
MJF is a guy that wasn't WWE. He came in from the Indies, from the lower leagues, from everything
MLW,
else. Right. And he came in and he rose to the top of AEW, and he is such a controversial figure that, like Jericho was, and still is in some ways. And I think if MJF leaves, and I think he needs to leave, I think there's nothing else for MJF in AEW other than, like you said, money. There's nowhere else for him.
But they also might want to put the world title back on him. I don't know if he goes to WWE and he gets the world title there.
No, he'll have to earn it. It's like Jade Cargill. Like, I know hers is a little bit different, where they thought she was ready. They made a big.
There's a lack of wrestling ability.
Yeah, but I do believe we are going to see her either because of setting something up with her, Damage Control, Bianca Belair, and Naomi. But or the post Mania, we are going to see something there. But with MJF, like, what are you really gonna? Who else is he really gonna work with? Like, you have guys begging, like a Swerve Strickland, who has showed he can be a guy who can care. Look at the Acclaim, who was one of the hottest tag teams, and they pretty much were just given the title. They didn't do anything. They just put the trio title on them. Malachi Black. Like, there are there's nothing you can do with him there. I think at this point, other than give him the title, put him in a long feud with Adam, another year feud with Adam Cole or someone else. But I don't know what more you can do with him.
I say take MJF, put him in NXT, let him run through the ranks in NXT, build him up. Let people see the company's building him like they've done some other people, and get him into the main roster and then build him up further.
I don't know. I don't see MJF if he goes to WWE on NXT. I just think the AEW.
I don't think that would happen, but it would be an interesting story arc for him to come in.
Well, to be fair, I mean, NXT is not. I mean, listen, Mandy Rose went there and had massive success. Baron Corbin's been rejuvenated, so I mean, it's not a total,
But I don't kind of look at NXT like the minor league show anymore. They're
no. I was going to say no. It's not. It's not. No, I agree with that. I got a couple of comments from Ethan before we move on to a few final thoughts and such. How you guys doing? I'm doing great. I think we're all doing great. We're having a lot of fun. Hopefully, Coach is feeling a little better from Friday. I thought that Cody segment with Paul Heyman was good. He roasted The Rock really good. But honestly, Tom, why not the rest of the guys? I don't think that Roman is going to hold on to his deal. I think that Roman wanted Paul Heyman to make the deal with Cody. And then once SmackDown hits, Roman is going to have The Rock. Interesting, Ethan. I want to say hello to my buddies over in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. The season is going to debut coming up here this Thursday night. And right afterwards, we're going to have the Atomic Titan on to take his place into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So always I love hearing from the guys in TBW because they're getting ready finally for season 8. But what do you make about what Ethan had to say? Let's call him Ethan as an Ethan about to say.
No. This is your question. He asked you.
Well, he actually said, I don't think he's asking. He said, honestly, Tom, I don't think that Roman is going to hold on to his deal.
No.
I think Paul Heyman to make the deal with Cody. He's basically talking about in what he sees. He's saying, honestly, Tom, but not saying the rest of us. So.
I think one or two things is going to happen.
Tell me.
I think either Roman is going to go against his word, and that's a sham. And they're all going to be there, or certain members are going to be there. Maybe The Rock, like the comment says, or Roman is going to stick to his word, and then Solo and Jimmy, or at least maybe Jimmy, is going to interfere, kind of, like Jimmy has done before, where he acts out on his own.
Roman gets mad and looks at him and gives him that look, yeah.
And Cody's going to take it the wrong way, like it was a setup, and then, I don't know. I mean, I think it could go one of two ways. I think either one of those ways, if there's going to be if it's not going to be just a one-on-one, it could go either of those two ways.
I'm going to say this, Chris. I'm going to add to this. I think Roman and Cody are both going to go on their own, but I think The Rock's going to show up with the rest of the bloodline, and they're going to say, we're here to support you. Roman's like, what are you doing? And then there's going to be a little confrontation, and they're going to beat up Cody and kind of try to send a message to him and Seth, but we're going to see a little bit of frustration between Roman and The Rock because Roman's like, what are you doing here? Thanks for your help.
So are you saying we're going to get that before Mania?
I think we are. I think we are because we've still seen The Rock do the L. We've seen a little bit here and there and a little bit of Roman saying to acknowledge me. And I think Roman's going to be like, okay, thanks for the help. But he's just like, you're not taking my tribal chief spot. I'm still the guy.
You've already got a little bit of that, right? So in some of the SmackDown segments with The Rock, you can see Roman, he's discontent. He's not comfortable.
Yeah, that was the point he asked him to acknowledge. There was a look,
right.
Yeah.
And then this past week it was, he's the tribal chief, but I'm the final boss.
Yep.
You want to say something, TBK, before I get to my buddy Daniel Banner, who's up at 4:17 a.m. God bless him. But what do you want to say something to TBK?
Good morning.
That's a good one. I thought of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think The Rock has come in and taken a lot of the attention, and why wouldn't he? He's The Rock. But, at one point we were all focused on the potential of a bloodline, screw job, I guess you could say, with the original members. There was talk about possibly Jimmy doing something. We got a little tease of, Paul Heyman saying that basically Solo could be the next guy up. So I think right now, anything is possible. I don't think it would be smart to rule anything out. Like I said, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Right now, we just gotta wait and see.
All right, and let me get to Daniel Banner, who I haven't seen Daniel in a while, and I hope Daniel you're doing well in training over at Kingdom Wrestling. Do you think DIY will win at Mania?
Highly possible. It's a high possibility.
I think it's still awesome truth. I think you got to give the truth. Like he's done
I'm
so
with
much
you, Randy. I think that the moment is to give Awesome Truth the belts. I think the moment says that the feeling is in that air. He also wants to know, do you think Cody has the odds stacked against him, or will Cody finish his story? Will he have that Kofi and Bryan moment?
I'm going to take a word out of TBK's book. If Cody doesn't win, they better make sure security's strong.
I know you missed Friday's show, but we were actually talking about that on the air, and we were like, if Cody doesn't win it this time, I don't even know how he could show his face in WWE again. Literally, almost like the whole thing's a fraud. It's a joke. It's like just kidding.
Right? No, I said the same. I said the same similar. I said I don't see how.
Yeah, you did.
I don't see how they can continue with the fans that follow us along and let's keep you hooked. He's going to finish it someday.
Because at least last year it was like okay, he was happy-go-lucky. He was here. He had come back from injury. There was a talk about Dusty. They set him up. Then he got obviously screwed with the outside interference from Solo. But this time this whole year has been focused on him getting to this moment. And if he doesn't win it now.
I think Daniel Banner, to answer his comment, I think it's going to be both. I think the odds are already against him. He's going into Mania already with his back against the wall, whether Rollins is with him or not. But I do think that he will overcome it. I think somehow we're going to get some sort of surprise, shock, screw job, whatever. Something's going to happen that's going to change the status quo and change the tide for Cody, and he's going to take it.
He also wants to point out and ask, will there be history repeated with Damian Priest stealing the championship, just like Seth Rollins did? Daniel, we actually talked about this earlier tonight, so you must have watched the show and come back and asked it, but you can ask him. Of course, you're Daniel Banner. You've always been a supporter of mine for like 2.5 years, so you can ask it again, but I think we spoke about that tonight, that we think that's a very good possibility.
Good morning.
Well, it's funny. I have a funny thing to
coffee.
Well, it's funny because they're actually right now. If you're in the East Coast, you're actually behind us, Randy. But it's 4:21 a.m. in the UK. But this weekend coming up, it'll be 5 hours ahead because oddly enough, in the UK, their clocks go back 2 weeks after we do, which is always kind of bizarre. But we all don't go back the same week. They do it 2 weeks after us, so that's why they're not going to do it until this coming weekend. But yeah, it's kind of weird that way. But then also it's Palm Sunday this weekend for those that are in the Catholic faith, and then next week is Easter, and then I think we have Purim coming up. So we have a lot of different religious holidays. But Ethan, I digress, says honestly, Tom and the gang. Okay, all right, he called us the gang, but you could call all of us a gang because we're a gang. Although Fridays now. There was 10 of us, by the way. There was, I don't know, what do we call 10? Are we like an army? What is 10 of us?
Now, yeah.
An entourage.
The brotherhood. Coalition.
We actually had so many people. We all actually appreciate this, Coach. Omen actually wanted to come on for 2 minutes, and we literally couldn't let him on the stream because we had too many people.
Oh, no.
We had 10 people. But, Cody Rhodes has to finish his story with Roman Reigns because otherwise, what was the point of having him winning 2 Royal Rumble matches for him just to lose?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much been the general consensus. Like we keep saying, it just if it doesn't happen, then what are you doing? Why have you dragged us all through this? Why have you dragged Cody through this? Why have you dragged and
winning 2 Rumbles in a row? It's almost like Stone Cold, right? 97, 98 wins the Rumble.
Yeah.
And it was like you had to have him win it, right? You had to at 14.
Daniel Banner makes a good point. I've heard that his comment. I've heard about that too.
What's that?
Then we know someone else with 3 initials is still secretly running the show and saying, "Ha, Cody, this is what you get for creating."
I still think that person. It's crazy you say that. I still think that person with 3 initials still actually has some say what goes on.
Yeah. So we could see him like somewhere in the gorilla. Like
Kennedy McMahon. I mean,
never heard the name before. Never heard the name.
The senior.
That's true. That senior. I've heard of a senior. I've definitely heard of a senior.
I was trying to deal with Daniel Banner with his daily thing.
By the way, I want to give a shout out to the people on Twitter right now because I just want to say this out there. We actually have 73 people watching us live right now.
Oh shit!
73. We're killing it. We got 67 people on Twitter watching us right now. So I want to say
the right people on. Forget those baseball and football people.
Well, I want to say, funny you said that because it's funny. No, this is a good thing. I'm glad you brought this up because the last 2 weeks since we've brought in the reinforcements have actually been our most viewed Friday shows in like years. No, I'm serious, on YouTube. The last 2 weeks, right? We brought in the new guys, the TSF Takes group. We brought them in. And all of a sudden, the viewership's up. I think now the baseball and football guys, they now know they have to step their game up because they know the wrestling guys like us, well, not me really, but the wrestling guys like you guys, because obviously, I'm with everybody on Sportzwire, we're all sports and wrestling matters, is that they know that they have to step their game up. So now that we've got the reinforcements, now it's almost like the viewership is up almost. It's almost like it's like WWF and WCW again. Some guys might say, you're WWF guys.
We all need to be wearing out. TBK, come on over here, borrow one of mine. Tom, grab one out your closet.
I was gonna say I don't have a belt.
The funny thing though is that again, the sport with the sports guys and the wrestling guys, now it's almost like there's a competing interest now in the views. The views are up now the last 2 Fridays. You spoke, Coach, and now all of a sudden there's now viewers again.
Did her job.
And by the way, the guys we're talking about next month when we do the trivia to compete, with the wrestling and the sports guys were fired up about that, Coach. We might have to find a way. You know what I might have to do? We might have to find a way to try to get more seats onto the show on Fridays and maybe just keep everybody on at one point. We could have maybe if we could, who knows? We could be like, I don't know, it could be like a Royal Rumble, like 14, 15, 20 people on the show at once.
How do you eliminate everyone? That's my question.
Yeah, right. How do we get eliminated?
We flip a coin, flip a Canadian dollar. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Lord.
Because I have to find a way. Maybe there's a way to do that. We could have more people onto the stream at this point. Might as well. I mean, the wrestling guys and the sports guys. I mean, just saying. I mean, we might even have to do like the hockey line change. In hockey, you have a shift for like a minute, usually between a minute and like 90 seconds. And Randy was at the Caps Canucks game this past weekend. But maybe we'll have to do the hockey change shifts for some of the sports guys because now there's so many of them. We'll have to say, okay, this one comes off, this one comes in, this one comes off, this one comes. Maybe that's what we'll do, Coach. Maybe so. Viewership is up though. I just wanted to point it out that the viewership is up since you spoke.
Nice. I'm liking it. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm certainly glad. And Daniel Banner says he's excited for me and he's getting pizza and snacks. And
me too. I'm grateful.
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh, well, you know what's funny? You said that on the grill real quick. It was warm this weekend, and I was actually out. I was knocking on doors because in New York, it's the beginning of campaign season, and I was out, and I noticed people were barbecuing already this past weekend. It was so warm enough, I guess, in the Northeast that you could actually barbecue, and I smelt the barbecues, and this one person was like, "Do you want to come in and have some food?" I'm like, "No, I'm good, thank you. You go have it though, but you go enjoy." But it is barbecue season. But I'm curious, Daniel, what snacks are you having? I'd love to know what snacks you're having, but. Bailey says she'll have a new theme by Paramore. Okay, certainly James Taylor is going to be enjoying that because he loves his Paramore with his.
I've actually heard that rumor too. That's actually something that's been repetitive, and from what I understand, it's actually supposed to be Paramore playing a live rock version of her Hugger theme.
Oh wow!
Oh, that would be
okay.
Like a rock version of it.
Okay,
so,
all right, I'll be interested.
And I've heard that over and over and over again for like the last month or so. So. I'm curious to see if that actually does happen because that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would definitely be cool. And Daniel says simmer Paramore. Okay.
All right.
All right. Interesting. Before we get to closing thoughts, anything else you guys want to throw out there before we move on to say goodbye for the evening? Anything else you want to throw out there? Nothing. All right. Well, you know what? Then we'll just go to closing thoughts.
Darby Allin's still a walking man. He broke his foot the other day, and now
what was that?
Darby. I'm surprised Darby Allin hasn't broken more bones in his body with everything he does. He broke his foot apparently on Dynamite last week, and I'm like, that's all he had, a broken foot after going through a glass of table and everything. He does.
Well, I mean, that's Bischoff was just on a tear about AEW. You could tell he hates AEW with the
Did
passion.
anybody catch the Asuka in Asuka looked like she broke her ankle?
Asuka got hurt, if I'm not mistaken, right? Didn't I read on
She got
Twitter
hurt in a live show as well, so they're saying
she was trying to attack Bayley and limping her ass off, like her fucking foot was crooked and everything.
Asuka could be out. Yeah, I think that's what I did hear that on Twitter. I mean, that could be an issue. Yeah, we could see that. But yeah, but Bischoff was just he's been on a tear about bashing AEW. He said Darby Allin doesn't understand it. Does Tony Khan really think that's good for the business by allowing Darby Allin to do what he did at the show?
Apparently, I don't know if you guys heard about this. When they did the Sting live show with the table, the broken glass, some of it caught some people in the front row. I don't know. No one got hurt, thankfully. But AEW put a disclaimer saying, if you're sitting in the front row, we can't be held liable with what wrestlers do in front of you. And I was just like, what the heck? The whole point you want that experience in the front.
Are you sure that we weren't talking backyard wrestling here first?
No, they said the same thing. Okay, right after people went back to live events after COVID, and they were doing bloody shit, and blood was.
Oh yeah.
People in the front row. They said the same thing about that. Well, we can't be liable. You're sitting up front, because people were complaining, about blood getting on their outfits or on their face or on their skin, and COVID, and everything. People were getting like really anal about it, and they said the same. They put out the same disclaimer then too.
Well, that's kind of like going to like SeaWorld and getting pissed off because you got wet sitting in the splash zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if you know, I mean, that's what they're setting up for. That's what they got. I mean, you got to expect, like, put your arms up. You'll be all right.
I was gonna say like.
There, getting splashed by water is one thing, but getting hit by glass is
good point. That's a good point.
Different.
Andy, maybe we should have had the plexiglass being put out there in the.
I don't know. Jungle Boy didn't like that.
Plexiglass. Maybe that should have been the way to go. But
if the rumors
and the other thing was before I got. Yeah.
If the rumors are true about the ticket sales being so bad, then there should have been enough room for everybody to move back.
I mean, listen.
You were a little PG about it. I was going to sit there and say it's like having a titty smack in your face and complain the nipple got your cheek. Like.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be complaining about that, but we're a family station on Sportswire. But I will say that I think Mercedes Moné, there was a late walk up. I think they drew just about 9,000. They did a little better there, but when you lose Sting and there's no lust anymore of Mercedes Moné, yeah, they're going to have trouble to fill tickets. That's the numbers there. Let me get to a few more things. Also, Shayna Baszler, maybe for Bloodsport. That's interesting. That's another interesting. We see WWE starting to have the line of communication with other places. I think that's pretty unique. He's having for snacks, Doritos and beer. Okay, that's a good one. And
what kind of beer? What kind of beer?
I'm sure we'll find out. And by the way, congratulations to him. He's got a girlfriend now, so hopefully his girlfriend will be watching Mania with him.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Flip that beam. Go ahead.
Oh, you did? You did hear about it. Boy, every word travels. The thing is, I'm just getting bored of Christian's title reign. I hope Adam wins. I hope I don't know anybody named Edge. Maybe the guitarist from U2, but I mean, I do know about Adam Copeland. But yeah, I just Well, I did hear Mysterious Ways the other day. Speaking of Mysterious Ways, honestly, Tom and the gang, all right, well, whatever. Wasn't there rumors going around about John Cena making a possible appearance at Mania 40? Yeah, I think I did hear something about that. Yeah, Mania. It wouldn't shock me. Cena at 40. Cena's also talked about the fact that he wants to retire by 50. He does not want to be in the ring, and he's now closing in on 50. So you could be getting your final moments of Cena. He says you don't have to say sorry. It was a joke, Daniel. But yeah, he wants Adam Copeland to win. You don't have to say sorry.
Just call him Edge. It's fine. Call him Edge. I say Vince McMahon.
Well, Edge. Well, that's a great guitarist from U2. I'm just saying it's a great guitarist from U2. But I only know somebody named Adam Copeland in AEW. There's no actual Edge in AEW. It was kind of just semantics.
Daniel Bryan on Friday night. I mean, fuck this.
Brian Danielson. I know that. I was trying to It's all about semantics, Coach. It's like when you talk about that guy with 3 initials, we don't talk about him on sports.
But I say them all. I say Vince McMahon, Sasha Banks, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro.
Do you mention Roland Havoc? Do you also mention, for your taste, Roland Havoc and Colin Graves and Austin James?
Roland Havoc, Colin Graves.
By the way, Coach, there's a rumor that Roland Havoc, Colin Graves, and Austin James may be together make an appearance on Sportswire Radio in the
Oh,
next
I
month.
want to come on. You got come on, dude. Don't hold out. All right. You send me
We'll
that
see
message.
what his promotion says. We'll just see what their promotion says. But he also,
promotion. I've known him longer.
Well, there was a big fight actually in that promotion. Thomas Taft was actually saying some different. I'll tell it to you off the air, maybe. But
yeah, you do that.
Well, it was nothing to do with us. It was just he was trying to allege something about DBW, but I think it was way off base, by the way, just way off base. But different conversation for a different time. Let's get to closing thoughts. TBK, I'm going with you first. Obviously, if you want some logo design, by the way, he's been designing some great work. The TFSF Takes guys have gotten their logos done by him. In fact, he's doing such a great job. C2K all of a sudden says he's doing logo designs now. Seriously. He said, no, he actually said he's doing logo designs now. I mean, we love C2K and Sportswire. He's in a Hall of Fame, but now he does logo design. If the TBK does logo designs, and he saw the Sportswire design, he saw the TSF Takes design, he saw Sad Boys design, now he's doing logos. God bless America is all I could say, and God bless Canada as well in the UK, since we love Canada and the UK on Sportswire here. But TBK, I'm going with you, giving you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, say, fire away.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you. Great show as always, boys. And they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yes.
So
I'm aware. There's like all these shows out. There's the Silver Wolf guy. There's the Tyler Ark show. Yeah. There's the Zach Attack, which is, I'm not even going to go there.
Yep. Anyway, yeah. So as he said, I've been pumping out logos for these guys. Been very honored to be able to do this. If anybody needs any logo work done, make sure to follow me on Facebook, Ryan Andrew Familaro. Hit me up on Instagram, t.b.k9208. We'll get something started for you guys. Said it before, I'll say it again, just for anybody new who's listening, and for the 73 million. No, I'm kidding. For the 73
people still watching this right now. I mean,
awesome.
Pretty cool.
For the 72 people on Twitter, if you have followed my podcast at all, like I said, we're probably how many weeks we go? It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks left.
Yeah, 20 days after today. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe next week. Or you know what? Maybe on the go home shows, if I can get Chris and Randy together. Like I said, maybe
you
then
can even do it after Monday if you want to just let them have it, because I think I have Chase Wakefield on that day. So if you want to go and record a pod with them and give it to me, we'll play it on the radio. That's fine.
Cool. Yeah, maybe then we'll have something, everything will come together and we'll have something to actually talk about and go off of. If you guys want to, you can listen to old episodes on Spotify, the Be More Talkative podcast, and make sure to listen to them also on Sportswire Radio.
Appreciate that very much. And looking forward to, again, logo designs, get them all. Coach, I'm going with you, but before I do that, yes, we can say Tony, yes, we can say the T word here on Sportswire. Tony Storm is timeless Tony, we can definitely say. But, Coach, I give you the floor.
And like twat or something like.
Well, there was a Guns N' Roses song that's called There Was a Time from Chinese Democracy. That you could say There Was a Time, which would be twat, but we really don't want to say twat. I don't think there was a Chinese Democracy reference here because most people did not like that album. I happen to like it. That's a different conversation for a different time. But, Coach, I'm going to give you the floor. Hopefully, it'll be more memorable than Chinese Democracy from Guns N' Roses all those years ago, quote-unquote Guns N' Roses.
But you got to stop, man. I want some Chinese food,
Well, you might get some if we get to closing thoughts here. So
right. I mean,
let's go get to the closing thoughts before I get more comments from Daniel Barron to read off, because he's got a few I'll give to Randy. But floor is yours, Coach. Fire away.
No, I'm ready for Mania, man. I'm like, I came into this show with the whole let's get aggressive angle because I want some fighting to start. It's getting boring and the talking's good and all, but there's time to talk. There's time to swing. I think it's time for everybody to start swinging. Despite what TBK says, we're just kind of going with the flow and watching what happens.
I said what I said.
You and your soldier imitation costume. Anyway,
I don't have hair.
Yeah, but when he's on here, you can't really see his anyway because he's got a dark background too. It's just like the whole, the beard, the shirt, the hat. Like,
well, TBK has a little better Wi-Fi than Soldier right now.
right. They do have I thought Omen was his brother. You got anyway. I thought there was some backwoods relations there, but I hope he's still watching too.
I hope that you move off those comments because that again we're a family station on Sportswire, but the floor is yours.
Inbreeders. I mean, shit.
We're a family station on Sportswire. I'm going to point that out.
I'm aware of that, but then again, like you just said to me, you said that we got all these watchers now, all these people watching and stuff. So you got to keep it intriguing. You got to want them to come back.
And I think that we have because the Friday shows have been exciting. I think Anthony Steele has added viewership. I mean, whether you like him or not, I certainly think Omen Black and Soldier GP have added viewership. I mean, I think that you guys have added viewership, but I digress.
Right. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not Sesame Street, and if it was, the word of the day would be chaos. Let's keep chaos going. Come on.
I mean, certainly some say that, but I try to at least from my vantage point, I try to be, certainly clean on sports, but I try to keep it respectful from my vantage point.
Yeah, well, me, I break all the filters.
I try to be the Dick Clark of Sportswire. I try to be the Dick Clark. The Ryan Seacrest of the world. That's what I try to be. Polite.
I guess I have no conscience, no filter. I guess I don't know. But
that's why we love you. That's why you're a 2-time Hall of Famer, though.
Ready for Mania? Can't wait. I mean, let's get rolling, man. I'm just ready to go. That's all. Woo.
Love it. No, we love it. Great stuff there. Before I get to Randy, thanks. Hope to see you soon, Tom. Keep working hard. Keep working under Sean Only.
Product placement. Sorry. Placement.
You'll get to that. Keep working hard under Gareth Angel. I know Bentley's coming back onto the show in the next month, so keep up the good work, Daniel. And chin up, tease out, and watch for the shoes. Good deal. Randy, want to give you the floor. Want to give you some closing thoughts. And obviously, this was a fun show. And we have so many people out there watching. Thank you so much. And the momentum continues to grow for Sportswire Radio. We just surpassed 600 subscribers on YouTube. We had over 100 in the last 7 weeks alone. So clearly, people, they seem to like what we're doing. They like what we're doing here on the Friday shows and everybody else out there. But Randy, so good to have you back. Glad the family's doing a lot better. And let's turn it over to you, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, Tom, thank you very much for having me. TBK, Chris, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Happy to be back after dealing with some family issues. Good. Everything's going better now. So TBK said, listen, we're on the road. Let's enjoy it. It's a little bit of a slow burn. I know we want to see some fireworks, as Chris mentioned. I think we'll get them, hopefully. But if not, listen, it's still intriguing. I would say you're still intrigued on what's going to go on. You still want to kind of know what's going to happen next, whether you're enjoying it or not. But it's an exciting time. This Mania card seems very intense. It is stacked, and it's only going to get better and better. Hopefully no injuries throughout the next few weeks. And listen, I'm excited to see Friday what's going to happen between Roman and Cody. I'm excited to see CM Punk next Monday. And then 2 weeks, we're going to see The Rock in Brooklyn. So buckle up, and then you get Mania in Philadelphia, and it's going to be a heck of a ride. So buckle up, get up, enjoy. On just a quick note, the Hockey Fan Chat, we'll hopefully have an episode out here the next little while. Going to contact our old friend, our old pal Neil Villapiano, talk about the New Jersey Devils, because I know they're an interesting team.
And we've got some hockey guys on the Friday show. We've got DK is now a hockey guy, Dylan, and we've got Scooby Stoney's a hockey guy. So we actually added a couple hockey guys.
That's good. No, glad to hear all the especially right now in the playoff. But with WWE and Raw, Road to WrestleMania, it's intense. It's exciting. Another, like I know in past year, the road to WrestleMania has always been up and down, but my interest is there, and I'm really interested in what's going to happen next. Want to hear my opinion on Twitter? Follow me at Randy Dillon. Dillon spelled DILLON.
Love that. Great stuff. Looking forward to the Hockey Fan Chat. Looking forward to the Be More Talkative podcast. Looking forward to everything Coach says and his certainly interesting takes. Probably have a feeling we're going to see him Sunday with Mr. Steele. I have no doubt about that on Palm Sunday. Nonetheless, the irony of
brought to you by Halls. And if you don't like that, you can suck on this.
Well, you know what? I'm sure you can bring those comments on Sunday, but I want to thank everybody that's tuned in. I want to thank
all kinds of product stuff.
We're going to obviously see everybody back here Friday for we'll get our SmackDown, certainly reactions. We'll have the regular guys back afterwards. And again, interesting that we're going to Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, 3 of the biggest markets for WWE. They're all going to be coming to a town near you and my town as well. But until then, we were joined by Randy Dillon of the Hockey Fan Chat, Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer, soon to be sports host of the Be More Talkative podcast, also logo designer TBK, and the only Craven he says, but there is another Craven out there. But he is Coach Chris Craven, two-time Hall of Famer, B1 Sports by Radio Hall of Famer. And you know my name by now, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway. It is your boy, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sports by Radio, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, and all sports now matters. The Reverend Tom Bryce. If you're on sportswire.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, I'll be back here Wednesday night with D'Angelo the Flame, and Wednesday afternoon, I'll be back with the legendary Mustafa Khan of UKW, the many times over world champion actor, karate star. He's going to be here live with us, so looking forward to Mustafa Khan. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters.